Well, hey, Fellowship family and anyone else who may be connecting to this video cast, we're really glad that you're here for our Fireside chat. We're going to be talking today about finances. And I know that's on a lot of your minds. None of us like to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it because there's a lot of things going on that are fallout because of this COVID-19 crisis. And so Jonathan and I are here, and we just want to share from our heart where we've been and share some of the key threats to really financial peace, or that flourishing that we talk a lot about here, that flourishing with God and with each other and with all of life that God intended us to live. And so our hope is that these few minutes together with us will help you and also get a handle on finances and lead you to life-giving wisdom. Now, some of you are going, help. I need help. I've lost my job. I have bills to pay. I don't know what to do. We're here as a church, far beyond these few minutes that we're together, to come alongside you and help you during this time. Secondly, some of you are going, where did it all go? You're getting to the end of the month and you're going like, I made pretty good money this month, but I need a handle on it. And so for you, we want to come alongside and help you get a handle, to know, to be aware of everything God has given to you, everything that you have in life, and how to be a good steward of that, just how to manage it so that you're not out of control. And we're going to be talking about a plan today, and about the importance of building a plan for your spending. And I wanted Jonathan to start us out because he and I come from different backgrounds, but we all live and share the same value of having a plan for everything God's entrusted to us. So welcome, Jonathan. Thanks for being here. Why don't you share why you needed a plan?
Well, I try to wear T-shirts that match up with where we're going, and my T-shirt says, "I believe that we will win."
Yeah. And
that's because my background with money really had me feeling for the longest period of life that I couldn't win.
Mm.
And I grew up in a single-parent home that, our three dads were not really in the picture in that way. And my mom did all she could. She didn't get her GED and nurse's aide certificate until I was like sixth grade.
Yeah.
There was always other people living with us, and we lived life in a constant crisis. And just because of where we were at, it was like either I win the lotto or I go play professional sports. That was my way out. Like, no one ever retired. Everyone kind of went paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
If you had a little bit of cushion, then you were rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really felt like, in professional sports, making it in is like playing the lotto still. And so I thought maybe if I go to college, things would be different. But I shared earlier, like, my first debt was medical debt. I had medical debt from high school. When I needed some medical care, I had to go to the community clinic. I had bills that I couldn't pay. I was a high school student. I worked summer jobs and on the weekends in food service. And so I had bill collectors calling me as a college freshman.
Wow.
Because of that, I was in crisis. I had no coat. I had one pair of pants, no haircut, different things of that nature. And then I thought, I build my hope on, if I can graduate college and get a job, then everything changes. But then I graduated college, and then I was borrowing money from my mom, who was on fixed income. I couldn't get an apartment. I had to get a cash advance just to get an apartment. I couldn't get utilities turned on without a cosigner. All these things were like this. I realized that I went from crisis to crisis to crisis, and that defined my whole life. And it's because I had no plan. Yeah. Even when I had more money, I still had no plan.
Yeah.
And it was meeting some other people who had come from a similar type of situation as I did, that I saw were not constantly in a state of crisis. And I remember just some different breaking points where I said, I don't want to live like this anymore. And now that I know that someone else who started in the spot that I started in was able to transition out of that spot, then it made me more interested to lean in and say, maybe there is another truth. Maybe life is not always a struggle in this area. I know I'm going to struggle in some area, but I don't have to always struggle here.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized, okay, I need I need a true plan to win, not just lotto, not just NFL.
Yes.
But I need a true plan that's going to help me start to take practical steps of getting there.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that, because you come from a different perspective than I do. I came out of a family that had significant wealth, and so I never went through a time in life where I needed anything. It was the wants, and no matter what you make, there's always a want for something more. And so that was my childhood, always wanting something more, always having plenty of food in the refrigerator, all that. Well, that all changed when I went to college, and my dad made some business decisions that forced him into bankruptcy. And so we started losing everything that we had. Yeah. And I didn't have a plan because I frankly didn't need one. Here was my plan. Dad, can I have this? And my dad would give me that. And so I was extremely humbled when that hit my life. And I thought, what do I do? And through that humiliation of life, and then realizing how much I just spent on garbage, I started realizing, man, I need a plan. I need a plan out of materialism. I needed a plan that gave God honor and glory, because I had been a Christian for a long time before I realized that God owns everything. And I'm just a steward. I thought it was mine. I could do what I want, pay God off with the tithe and move on, you know? And really, the total transformation of everything that God has given me changed. And I started appreciating everything God gave me when I started living on a plan. And it's been amazing. And I haven't always stayed 100% on the plan, but I'll tell you, I've always had a plan that I could swing back to when it got out of control. And today, I'm thankful that we're still on a plan, and that plan is paying off in the long term.
Yeah, your plan kind of, when you get to a manageable state of life, your plan is like that 5-pound pair of jeans. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before.
Yes.
But they say when you're trying to lose weight, you should have a pair of jeans that when you put them on, if you've gained 5 pounds, it's hard to button them up. And that lets you know that you need to pull back. Wow.
I've always heard it as like you're weighing in your luggage. And they go, you're over 5 pounds. What do you pull out? You pull out the 5-pound jeans.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Doesn't relate to anything, but that's a good illustration. Okay. So, hey, here's what we really want to do to help you and to help you get a handle on what you're going through right now, or what you're thinking you might go through. Because anytime we go through a financial crisis, which is what happening, it's happening right now, folks. I don't believe things are just going to do a little hiccup on here. I believe there are going to be ramifications and realities in our society that we're going to have to deal with. And they extend out perhaps a year on what it's going to look like for us. And so to go into an uncertain time without a plan, you're going to go up and down on a roller coaster, and you're going to be swayed by those realities. And I'd rather come alongside you and just encourage you, start thinking about a plan, and we can help you do that. We can help you get a handle. Here's our big plan. We want as many of you as possible who have not yet gone through Financial Peace University to go to it. When we worked out a deal, right now Financial Peace is doing a 14-day trial. And what you'll need to do is sign up for this. You can go right to our events page at fbctopeka.com. Go to the events page, and it's right on there, Financial Peace. We'll link you right to there. You can register. Now, here's something that's important, because it's a 14-day crash course in this. If you go over 14 days, you'll be charged. You'll be charged $129. So we want you to try that, and we're facilitating a kind of condensed Financial Peace University in 14 days that will help lead and guide you in that. Go there, sign up, and then if you don't want to pay that $129, you can cancel in time. But we want to help you through that. And so some of the key things that we're going to be talking about now is really, I think, what Financial Peace is just known for, right? Yeah. They're known for helping people and then helping people get a handle and to develop a plan.
And here's why this is so great. When I first started using the Financial Peace tools to help build my plan, I couldn't afford to get into Financial Peace. Okay. So I had to go out to Amazon and find one of the books for discount, a used copy of the book for a couple of cents, and order that and go through it myself without community. And then I was ashamed to go to my pastor and tell him that I couldn't afford to get into the class because he knew I was in business. and different things of that nature as a chemical engineer. And so with this, you can sign up, and we're not asking questions or why you can't afford it or anything like that. You can just sign up, and so the whole guilt and shame piece is gone.
That's right.
This is a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Wherever you're at, we all need a plan. Yeah. And so you're not a failure if you need a plan. You're human. Yeah. We all need a plan. We need a plan for anything that's significant in our lives. And so please, if you want to do this, sign up. You can go to fbctopeka.com under events and sign up for this. It begins Thursday, tomorrow. Thursday, and there's a bunch of options there for you to begin that. I would encourage you to do that. Okay, so we're going to come back to this, but I want to show you 5 areas that really can thwart a plan.
Yes.
And we're going to go through each one of those 5 areas, and I think it's just weighted. If you're out of control in these 5 areas, it's going to kind of create less than peaceful environments. It's going to create chaos, right?
Yes.
And I've seen husbands and wives war over this. I guess in my experience, when we haven't been on the same page in my marriage, it's just gone to quietness. We've not fought over it. It's just gone quiet. And I want to speak to my wife about these things. I want to be together on the same page. And I know you do too. So let's talk about these areas. The first one, this is debt. So let's talk about debt. Why don't you start out with that?
I say the only force that's not as powerful as grace in our world is that of compound interest. And so it's just one of those things that hangs over you. When you get to the grocery store counter, the checkout counter, and you're able to just check out groceries and don't have to worry about if you have enough. Or you can go to the ATM and pull out money and you don't have to worry about if you have at least 20 bucks in there. That my case was for a lot of my life, I didn't. Or you can pick up the phone. That was before caller ID and everything, and just answer the phone and say hello. Yeah. That is a great point. And just feeling like I don't owe everyone. Mm-hmm. Like that's a weight off of your life where you're not constantly thinking through that. And so
that's right.
Having a plan for that is just so important.
Yeah, and there's so many proverbs on what being in debt makes you a slave to.
Yeah.
And none of us want to live like slaves, right? To fear, to money, to what we owe. And so we want to have freedom in this. Financial peace really does it well if you have a lot of debt and a lot of places that you owe, to really organize them. A lot of people who have a lot of debt don't want to know. So they try to hide debt in their lives. And I've been there. There's been times when I just didn't want to know where I was.
You know the other thing that debt does?
What's that?
Debt takes something that's your hobby and tries to force you to turn it into a side hustle. Something that should be for your enjoyment.
Yes.
Debt takes it and makes it work.
Yes, you're right. So a get to becomes a have to.
Yeah,
right?
and you start turning something that you enjoy into another drudgery. Yeah. And then you can't enjoy it anymore because you're depending on this.
Yes.
For something else that's hanging over your head, and you feel like you have to do it. And it is more drivenness than you already have in your life.
That's right. So what Financial Peace does is it's a term called debt snowball. And they start, you organize all your debts and you just start picking them off. And you start, and I know it doesn't even matter on the interest rate. You pick the lowest one because the first one you pay off, there's that sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. There's a sense of I don't have to hide it anymore. It's paid off. It's behind me. And you build up the capacity to attack your larger debts.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm smiling because I remember like paying off stuff and being able to call people like, I'm going to make that final payment today. You sure? Yes, I'm sure. Yes. And so that was just a good feeling.
Yeah, I remember when we paid off the first mortgage on our building here, and we burned that sheet of paper right in the service.
Yeah, I remember paying off my first car. Yeah. And then being able to give it to my mom.
Wow, that's awesome. So again, celebration after debt is paid. And that's what we want to do. We want to make this fun, not something that's drudgery. Okay, second topic, savings. Savings. Think about that. I read an article, we talked about it yesterday. You and I read an article that going into this crisis around COVID-19, that 40% of America could not come up with $400 for an emergency. Think about that. Going into this crisis. So there are a lot of you out there who are going, I don't know what, all these uncertainties, and I don't have anything to cover. And one thing Financial Peace really talks to you about is building up, at least starting with some savings so that when the unexpected comes, you at least have an answer to address it. What would you say on that?
If you don't have any savings, you are in a constant crisis in life.
Yeah.
And there's hardly words I can find to describe the amount of stress that's on you when you're waiting for the next shoe to drop your entire life.
Yeah.
And I mean, $400, you can't really find rent for $400.
Mm-mm.
So that means anything that happens, you could possibly be homeless.
That's right.
So that you can't meal plan like that. You can't. I mean, that's why you'll find yourself buying a lot of fast food if you're in poverty and stuff like that. Is because you're at a point where you're saying, I gotta enjoy today because I don't know if I'm gonna have tomorrow. And it's partially because you're on this savings tip. You don't have anything as a cushion that allows you to look out. All you can look at is directly what's in front of you.
Yeah. It's not just savings, it's margin, right?
Yeah.
If you're always busy, every second of your day is swamped. When anything unexpected, what do you get? I get frustrated and angry because I don't have the capacity to meet a need or to respond to an emergency. And so with savings, I just want to tell you, they're going to tell you in Financial Peace, start out as quick as you can to get $1,000 in savings. And here's how it's possible. Here's how you and I talked about it. The stimulus check.
Yes.
The stimulus check, no matter where you are, help or a handle, if you don't have savings, that stimulus check is $1,000 for you to stow away in savings for the emergencies. Talk about that, John.
And that's the deal is I had to learn what a true emergency was.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah. So, like, when you start thinking, at first, your whole emergency process changes, right? You're like, oh, like this thing went on sale.
Yeah.
This is an
That's
emergency.
not an emergency.
Yeah. And you have to start changing, like, no, what is a true emergency? And each person has to judge that. But one of the things you'll start revealing is kind of what are some idols of your heart.
Yeah.
Do I really need these new rims? Right? Mm-hmm. Do I need this thing or whatever? So I started creating this thing called like a 30-day list where I would, if it's something I wanted, I would put it on this 30-day list, and if I still wanted it after 30 days, then I would look at it. But I had to be able to go in and pay cash for it.
Yeah. So with savings, if you get this $1,000 from that stimulus check, and I mean, as self-controlled as you can to save that, do you put it in with all your other money, or how do you do that? Do you put it in a separate bank account? How do you do that?
Oh yeah. So you spend everything. I believe that when your check comes in, you spend everything. Meaning, even if it's savings, you spend it right away to savings.
Okay.
Whatever.
So it's just like an expense. You view it as an expense, moving that money over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the deal is for you to be able to save, Paul's words in Philippians ring true of you have to be able to find contentment.
Yes.
And so knowing that, because that's the key here to develop margin, is to find some contentment where you don't have to have everything. Mm-hmm. And then you have to just create that room. And so I believe, yes, you have to create a separate space where you can't easily get to it all the time or just touch it. And you have to have a way of monitoring your spending for sure.
Yep. Okay, great. We're going to move on just for the sake of time. And we're moving into housing. Okay. So the number I hear just from the experts is no more than 30% of your income should go into all things housing. That means your rent or mortgage payment plus your utilities and a little bit of upkeep there. Now, big projects, you can save money for that, but I mean, so you don't get into debt. But overall, your monthly housing bill is not just your mortgage, it's also those utilities and a little upkeep on that. And here's why that's important, because most banks, if you have a decent credit rating, will give you more than that. And you've got to be careful because you'll be overextended. When the unknowns come, the unseen things happen in your home, it's going to move you over that and you'll move right into savings to cover for it. So housing. Talk to me about housing and your perspective on that, John.
Like, we have a huge affordable housing gap just in our county, in our city. And they say, like, if you're over this 30%, then you're really not in affordable housing for yourself. The city of Topeka spent $100,000 to do a study on affordable housing in our city, and that just came out this year by an independent consultant. And they said that in order to be able to afford affordable housing here, a 2-bedroom unit, you need to make at least $16 an hour. And only 53% of the jobs, according to the current job growth projection, would be able to do that. And so when you're looking at that, man, that's incredible to think that 47% of our community is not in affordable housing and can't afford it.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge, when that much of your funds are going towards just housing, you're going to eat worse.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to save. You're going to struggle with preventative health care and different things that you need. It all leaks. And then you're probably going to have more relational things because there are going to be more touch points.
Yeah. And I'm finding this isn't just poverty. Yeah. This is those who have plenty of resources to afford a decent home, and yet all the upgrades you put on a home, all the options with HGTV, all of this, I've never seen so many options for a refrigerator, for a dishwasher, for ice makers, for all that kind of stuff that all get pummeled right into housing and really can mess things up. I read a book several years ago called The Millionaire Next Door, and it's all about what were the attitudes and behaviors of millionaires in the United States. And here's what they found. A typical millionaire didn't drive a Cadillac, a Mercedes, or any big style car like that. They drove a Ford F-150. They bought JCPenney suits, and they lived in neighborhoods that were far below the median income that they were making. Yeah. And so they learned how to self-control on housing. And I know that tendency. I know that it's been in my family, it's been in my life. But we can't afford for this to be beyond 30%.
So often people without a cushion or margin in life have champagne taste and Kool-Aid money, where people who have money often have champagne money and Kool-Aid taste. And so that's the deal.
Okay, you've just given me some terms I'm working with. My vocabulary just expanded.
So that's just important. Like what you're saying is so important of making the choices that you make.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, great. And Financial Peace is really going to address this one.
Yes.
They're going to give you some great wisdom on that. Now let's move to out of control food. Control food. And I mean, I get it. I mean, but how many of you, it'd just be interesting if we could do a poll, and I don't have the resources to do that right now, but just do a poll. Are you spending more on food or less on food since the safer at home order? How would you answer that one?
Well, if you follow my Facebook page, you know I'm spending more on food.
Yes, just because you've been giving a lot of it away.
Yeah,
to
we've been really blessing people because we're still trying to eat meat once a day.
Okay.
And
you're not cooking meat once a day.
No, we're cooking huge portions on the weekend and giving a lot of it away. But here's where this affected was that I actually when I was trying to make some changes so that I could be the most flexible for ministry, because I heard that one of the primary barriers from people following what they felt like God is calling them to is finances.
Yes.
And the primary reason for people coming back from the mission field is finances.
Yeah.
Primary reason why people go to seminary or Bible college and don't go into ministry, finances. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to be able to say, okay, God, whenever you speak, I move. I'm obedient right then. Same way when you call the disciples. And so I actually got with some ladies and I asked them to teach me how to coupon.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. And they came and did some classes for the apartments that I moved into for ministry. And they taught me, and so I would walk into the store like with all these coupons organized in the baseball sleeves and my set of, I had a whole trapper keeper, the whole
nine. And you had the front pack, right?
Yeah, the whole nine. And I was unashamed with it. Yeah. 116 all the way, unashamed. But these women, these ladies were saving enough money to where they could live off of one income for their family.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's something they can teach me.
Yep.
And that helped me on my food choices.
Yeah, so we all have had to learn how to cook more and bake more, and this has been a reality in this safer at home. And we don't know how long it's going to go. Evidently, it's probably going to let up in the next month, and so we'll be given opportunities to go out again. But I think what can we learn today about food that we can take that can actually be the new normal for us?
Yeah.
And where you shop is important also. I know that like the church, when we help people with groceries, we give them Aldi gift certificates. There's they could simply just buy more of the amount that they need in places like that. And so we would just encourage you, whether it's couponing or finding that place to find more resources for savings and debt payoff. Yeah, Financial Peace is going to help you. Just to give you a grid, typical surveys on this would say, from the experts would say, no more than 12% of your income should be spent on food. I don't know where your numbers are, but that's the advice that I'm seeing in all the research I've done.
Yeah, and I think you got to be realistic with yourself here too. If you know you're going to eat out, plan that for your budget.
Yes.
And then that's when the hard decisions started coming, because you got to say, if I want this much money for eating out, then I got to take it from somewhere else.
Yep.
And so you have to make some hard decisions. Like, are you going to wear thrift store clothes, or are you going to go, eat out?
Yes.
Like, where are you going to put this money at?
That's right.
And so you just got to make some decisions.
Yep. And again, Financial Peace will help you develop a spending plan that will have a lot of research, a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions. And again, you may not agree with all the opinions, but as long as you're working on a plan, we're good. That's my prayer. That's my heart for you during this time. Okay, last one we've got here. Again, the 5 major areas. There's more, but we're just talking about 5 at this time. Our cars, our transportation. If we lived in a larger city with subways, but taxi cabs, lots of Uber, but cars, this is the thing that we buy. And just how expensive new cars have gotten over the past several years. There's a lot of options for cars, but the number that I keep hearing for all things cars is 13%. 13% of your income, no more, should be spent on cars. And if you are in a situation where you're tempted to finance, but you're tight on your resources, I would definitely try to buy a cash car as best as you can.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that sticks out from Financial Peace and just listening to Dave Ramsey is you should never pay payments on anything that depreciates in value.
Yes.
And, with cars, that's just one of those things. I remember growing up, we had one car that everyone had to scoot in from one side. We hardly ever, I was in Texas, I don't think we ever had a car with air conditioner.
Yeah.
We had one car where you had to beat on the headlight to get it to turn on.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I always wanted was a nice car. And I remember selling that nice car and going with a truck that I bought from an auto auction that the back window leaked, and driving that to get out of debt.
Yeah.
Because it was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have some foolish stories, but one of them is when I was in college, I was able to make some income there, and I bought a Mustang GT convertible with a white leather interior, and it was black, and a 5-liter engine. It was this awesome car.
Yeah.
But I couldn't drive it in Wisconsin during the winter, so I had to drive a beater in the winter. I stored that car, making payments on the thing, and I drove a beater.
Yes.
For half the year, because you couldn't drive it on Wisconsin roads when it was snowy.
Yeah.
I just thought, man, if I could go back to that time and just have some more wisdom. And there's so much. There's the smell of a new car. There's the drive and the feel of a new car. But ultimately, transportation is getting from point A to point B. You arrive.
Yeah.
You should have a car that works. No, we're not saying just have a car that's always breaking down.
Yeah.
But should have a car that works. And right now, it's amazing what you can get for cash on a car.
Yeah, and here's the deal too, is this is where community comes in. We have people that are blessed in our body with knowledge on cars.
Yes.
And so instead of going out and shopping for a car by yourself, get with someone who is gifted in an area to go with you and help you shop for good deals on a cash car that you can drive.
That's right.
So
I've also looked for deals on leasing a car, and it all depends on your mileage. Yeah. And so I've made some deals with leasing on the cars, and I've bought new cars from time to time. Yeah. But it's not put me in a place where I was turned upside down on a bunch of things.
Yeah, and even today, Joe, like my my truck that I drive still has roll-up windows and manual locks.
Yeah,
there's just you're like you said earlier. You're going to always be in a position to where you're going to have to make some choices. So the goal of Financial Peace can't be to get everything I want in life. Yeah. That's the lotto mindset.
That's right.
you have to be able to still find contentment with what God has given and see it as a blessing. I think
right.
that's a
So their mantra over and over is you live like no one else so you can live like no one else.
Yeah.
And that's that plan of that constant direction, that movement in the same direction over an amount of time reaps incredible amount of rewards. And so let's go back to that financial piece, university slide. And again, it starts tomorrow. So you need to act now, right?
Yes.
And you need to sign up, and someone will connect with you and will help you through that process. But make sure you go to fbctopeka.com/events, and you can register for that. Right now, we have over 100 people who want to do this. And so you're not alone if you're saying, I'd like to do this. And we're going to try to facilitate as many groups as we can in as many formats as we can over the next 14 days. Hundreds of people from FBC have gone through this. And so we want to encourage you to do the same.
Yeah, I mean, 14 days.
Yes.
14 days, that's like 4-minute abs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
That's right. Your financial abs.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, 14 days, it is a free course.
That's right. Yep. For that 14-day trial. We're going to try this out, see how it works.
Yeah.
But we're just committed to giving people, lending them a help and a hand as we consider these finances. So, Johnathan, any closing words as we end?
Consider it worth it. If I would not have taken these choices or made these choices, I probably wouldn't be married right now because I dated my wife long distance, and so I had to travel for that. So I had to have the finances for that. I would have not been in a financial position to be able to take my kids into my home and adopt them, foster and adopt them.
Yeah.
And so I look at all the sacrifices I made to get into a healthy financial position as being so worth it now. And you won't see this on the front end.
Yeah.
But the best things in life are that way. You don't see the reward on the front end. You invest for a long time and see the reward on the back end.
That's right. And I would say the greatest investment of my life and my resources have been the Church of Jesus Christ. And so just having a plan has allowed me to manage time and energy and resources for the kingdom of God. And I just realized that's the greatest treasure in my life.
Yeah.
And it moved me away from just being encumbered by things or just the natural pattern of materialism, which moves you away from people and just fascinates you with things. And so we want to give you a help and help you with a handle on finances. So make sure you go and do that. Thanks for your time. Whether it's Fellowship Family or anyone watching now, sign up for FPU at FBC Topeka /events. God bless you.